Andrei. Hello, dear listeners. We are the group of young Romanian artists that in the next 3 weeks will work on this project that we called Sociopoetic Soundscapes. That is so generously financed and promoted by the Romanian Cultural Institute, Brussels. The basic idea of this project that is curated by the electronic music producer George and Pandrea was to give young Romanian female artists from different fields of creative knowledge and action an opportunity to express their perspective on their personal lives, on their fields of artistry, on the society that surrounds them, and obviously on the way that art can communicate these very difficult cultural equations in this very difficult time. Sociopoetic soundscapes means a sort of creative solidarity between the self and society, solidarity that we think was very much severed in a way by the pandemic. But at the same time, it is exactly that solidarity that might transgress the issues between individual rights and social welfare that at least somehow in Romania, not to mention other countries, at this point delay the possibility of progress during a pandemic. Following this very basic introduction, I would like to welcome to this discussion Flavia Dima, one of the foremost young film critics and visual media theoreticians in Romania, Petra Binder, a dancer, choreographer, and philologist who does tremendous work in bringing young people closer to self-expression through dance and theater. Teona Galgoțiu, a young poet and cinematographer who is very much engaged in the organization of events and projects that promote young creative voices in literature and film. George Pandrea, an electronic music producer that also has an MA in philology. I guess there are not many like him out there, who always in his creative process embraces the inspiration that comes from literature. Galeș, a theater and movie actress that is also very much engaged in projects that further personal development. And Anastasia Gavrilovici, a poet, translator, editor, critic, name it, she is doing that. That at her very young age is already a well-known figure in Romania and especially in the literary landscape in Romania. Okay, after this short, brutish introduction, I would like to start the discussion. And first of all, I would like to ask each one of you how you perceive the relevance of this project, what its interdisciplinarity and themes can offer for our contemporary society. And also why it's important or not for artists to come together and create together, especially in this difficult time. So I would like to start with Flavia.
It's a pretty tough question, I have to say, and I've been thinking about it quite a lot. It's obviously very important to discuss this event, and I'm not going. I think that many people have already spoken about this, and it's not really the time and place for me to repeat some platitudes about why it's important to record this period, to remember it, to take its lessons in and not forget what is happening to us and be aware of all of the social and societal permutations that are happening right now. I think right now what is important and what I really admired when you invited me to this project is that it's an all-female project. First of all, I have to say, I think that it's, especially considering Romania right now, Romania still has some really big problems regarding gender equality in the cultural fields. There's a lot of remarkable female women that are working in the cultural field right now in all of its spheres, but still I think that it's very rare to have an all-female project such as this one. So I just wanted to start by noticing this and thanking you for trusting us and for trusting that we can do this work as it is and not be defined by our gender in it. And it's also a moment where I think that these issues are starting to finally be discussed in Romanian society, and there is a place for it to be opened. And yeah, especially, I think I would like to mention this, that especially from this perspective, I think that it's valuable that, considering that even in health, for example, as we know, the vast majority of health workers are women, and people are trying to discuss about the specific struggles of women in this period of time that we're passing through. I think that's it's great to have a space to be able to express yourself about what is happening as a woman, especially through artistic praxis. This is not something that I do often. As you said, I'm a film critic, so I don't. This is also sort of a new thing for me, and I want to thank that. So I don't know if I really answered your question right now, but that's my feeling about it.
You brought up some issues that are relevant to exactly this way of approaching this time and the way that we deal with this together as artists or together as individuals. Petra, maybe you can also tell us a bit about how you view this project and how you're gonna express your views and your situation right now.
Yes, what I liked very much about this project and also about other projects that I've been into is the combination of different artistic expressions, because such as poetry, dance, and music, and visuals. Because I think that this kind of combinations always creates another perspective of the artistic act for itself. And concerning the time period that we are going through, I think it's important not to let the artistic act die. It's important to do it, because it's very hard. It's as if you know. You are an artist and you are used to do your art in a specific way, but now you have to change. I had to change almost everything of it, and it's not always easy. It was also very hard, but I think it's one very important aspect is to be heard and to do it, so not to let it die.
Okay, Teona. You have.
Yeah, I think that in general, this fusion between different fields of art and expression is very much needed, because it's a sort of a refreshment. So I generally believe that, and I'm really excited when I get to be in this kind of projects, but especially in these weird times, I think collaboration feels like fresh air, really, because even though that artistic or even just human collaboration is physical and you have to be there and interact with the other people you work with, I think this kind of collaboration where everyone is at home, is very therapeutical for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why this project is a sort of double experiment, because it's also like the meeting between all these artists, but also because we are separate.
Yeah, exactly. That was exactly that I wanted to pinpoint, exactly this solidarity that pretty much has to happen in these times. I mean, that we can still work together, and especially now we should work together to create something new. Anastasia, how do you view this project?
Well, I feel pretty much the same. I mean, especially in these times of isolation, I feel like going over these boundaries. This is theater, this is poetry, this is social media, this is dance. Is something that makes people makes all this artistic expression coherent, and in terms of relationships, I feel like we get this sense of being together, something that we don't really have in the pandemic. And I also enjoy the idea that this is a interdisciplinary project, because I feel like this fluidity between all the artistic expression is something needed in Romania. We don't really get to have this kind of mixed projects. And I feel like I have something to learn from each artist involved in this project, and I'm very curious of how things will develop in the end. So I like the idea of it, and thank you for having me in this experiment.
Okay, Adam, how do you see this kind of project as an actress? And I also very much appreciate that for this project you're going to actually write something, write a text, a monologue. And how is it for you as an actress to engage in this kind of project and with other people, and to also express yourself through text and through images?
So it's amazing, first of all, because this pandemic meant change for me, and I saw this in society. So thinking that we are not only artists that do, like my colleague said, a certain art is very important, and we kind of get through this. And in Romania, yes, everything is very detailed, that you are in your tiny box and you're doing things like that. But this means actually, this project means for us, this is our reality, that things are changing, and things are changing for us because we are experiencing it. And as women, things are changing for us because we're in an all-women project and we are the creatives. But we're working also with men, and this is important that you are here and Georgia is here, so it's really about women, but also with men. So this was very important to me. And also I've been working, I've written text before in devised theater when I worked in devised theater, and I loved it. So it was great to have this opportunity again, and it is a challenge. And moreover, what is very important is that we were all the same in this isolation period and in this pandemic. So no matter who we were facing more or less the same challenges in confronting a disease. So I think it's important to me not to work just as an actor, but to work as a human being and a woman, and talking about other women, because this is my theme, and we will talk about it. Other women that are going through difficult situations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's, I mean, again, to come back to this solidarity, and it is also a time that is, as you said, very democratizing, in the sense that, okay, we're going through the same thing, and we can actually, this time can actually make a bond, in the sense that it shouldn't divide us like it actually does in a lot of instances, as we see. It divides us, but it actually could be a time that brings us together, because we're going through this together. Georgia, the same question, but I would also like from you to hear, as a curator of this project, how you view it, and how why did you choose also these people to be part of it? Georgia?
Well, we're talking.
Okay, Georgia froze. Let's until he comes back, he unfreezes. Let's talk about the concepts of your videos. And here I would like to have some feedback from each group, because in this project we have 3 groups. Flavia and Teona are working on their projects.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, my
okay.
internet went berserk. Well, we're talking about issues with which a lot of people confront, and I think that the artistic nature of this project allow us to reach a bigger audience that, let's say, a simple, I don't know, like dull speech would do. Why I choose this, like the artist I chose? Well, from the beginning, I wanted artistic diversity to be a main feature of this project. So after, I would say, a short brainstorm, I picked the people whom I wanted to work with. With some of them I already worked, Petra and Ada. And with the others I really wanted to, but didn't have the opportunity until now. Yeah, I appreciate everybody's work and feel that their style and vision in their, I don't know, like in their own projects would fit both this project and also my style of music. And ultimately having these 5 arts involved and these 5 different visions after all, in my opinion, it ensures a wide canvas of expression for the subject of this project, which in my opinion is quite a delicate one, isolation and its consequences, let's say it so. So yeah, that's my point of view on this one.
Okay, let's talk a bit about the concepts of the videos, the concepts of these 3 video poems that we're going to create as a group of artists. And I would like to start with Anastasia and Petra. Maybe first, so that we don't talk over each other, maybe tell us, Anastasia, a bit about the concept and how you already started working with Petra and what it will become.
Okay. Fortunately, we had the same feeling that our video poem should be about this common experience of motherhood at a young age. So our video poem is about how we get to this during this period, and how the maternal experience left a touch upon our lives, because motherhood is from the beginning a form of isolation. Without any pandemic, motherhood means not getting to see your friends, not getting to go to parties, or it's mostly about spending time with your family and with the little one. And we had the same feelings about this. We talked a lot before establishing what the text would be. I mean, we chose something from my poems and something from a text that I've written a few months ago when the pandemic started, and we went through these very challenging times, being closed in our rooms, in our houses, and being just with our husband or our child. So we started from here, and we want to show, to express, and to make a picture, a brief picture, and an accurate one about how it feels to go through this double isolation. The one that is supposed from the fact that you're a mother, and the one that everyone goes through. So yes, basically this is mostly about how we feel, what our thoughts are towards this this experience, which is at the same time a very beautiful one, but also challenging and hard, and overwhelming to say. So I think that Petra can tell a bit more about how we worked until here.
Petra?
Yes, Anastasia said already very much, and this I also can say. We shared a lot, and it was very nice to see that we share the same thoughts, the same feelings, because it was and it is a very challenging period. And again, yes, you are isolated in that point that your child comes in your life. You begin an isolation, not that you want it, not that you hate it. It's very beautiful. I felt that way. I wanted to be only with my child and with my family. Of course, you're feeling sometimes that I want to go out. I want to meet some friends, but I'm not the principal actor anymore in my life. So I don't want to be anymore. I have to take care of my child, and it's normal to be like this. And this is why I also liked very much the theme that Anastasia and I chose, because it's about our present life, and we are surrounded in this time of the pandemic. We are surrounded of a lot of negative energy, and as a mother, I felt I'm not able to think negative. I'm not able to let this come into my life and into my home, because I have to take care of my child. And if my child is all right, then I am all right. And I think that's the main theme. It can be, it sounds like a cliche, but but this is it. From my kid, I learned life is very simple and very beautiful if you let it be like it is, and if you cope with it and you learn. I make the best of what I have, so I cannot panic and be I have to do what I can do with what I have.
Okay, thank you. I don't think that it's a cliche. I think it's very relevant, especially in the right now. Flavia and Teona, tell us a bit about your project, about the concept.
I think maybe it's best for Teona to start, because the blueprint were her texts. So
so for me, this experience was like a sort of catalyzer of many of the feelings I was overwhelmed with in the past months, like alienation and anxiety for the future and overall confusion. And I'm sure that we all know these feelings. And so I chose some texts I either wrote or edited during the isolation. And I talked with Flavia about the possible forms and rhythms that would capture this atmosphere that we've been through. And we reached the decision to use virtual reality and social media and footage from our personal archive, because we felt that these platforms were really present during these times, but also they got so normalized that we didn't really explore the feelings we have with exposing ourselves online. And yeah, I mean, there were some really strong experiences that were new and nuanced, and it was, I think, a challenge to find the right form, but I'm really excited of what we chose.
Okay, that sounds very interesting, and I'm very curious. We also already talked about your concept, and I find it very interesting that you chose this very post-human kind of vision of how poetry and how images of our archive can be thematized. Flavia?
Sorry, I had a small technical problem, and I will see the recording.
So tell us a bit from your perspective. Also, we have up around 7 minutes left from the recording, so
for me, it's going to be a surprise now because my phone shut down and I came really fast back. So I'm going to see what Teona said on the recording, which I think makes things more interesting. So I spent some time thinking about Teona's poems, the ones that she sent me, and they were, even though some of them were not written during this period specifically, I could feel that there was a general sense of isolation that was permeated in the texts, and that was very, very valuable and important to me. What I was thinking a lot during isolation, as well, I'm not a mother yet, or I don't know, so I didn't have to take care of anyone other than myself, and I had this desperate need, in a way, that everyone felt, to still feel, you know, that I was still keeping in touch with what was happening. And the only ways that we were capable of doing this was through the internet, through social media, through all of these things. And so I spent a lot of time thinking, in fact, about this specific mediated way through which we were accessing reality, and this point in which we had no other means of doing so, no means in physically participating in anything. And so I let myself to be actually, let's say, inspired by the visuality of our experience of participating in social life and knowing what was happening. And so thinking also about the text and so on, I decided to make 2 parts of our video poem corresponding to 2 poems which are filmed on, well, let's say, are there screen recordings. So I was wanting to actually expose the experience itself of using these platforms and what their functionalities are, and also considering the fact that, at least at its origin, digital technology and a lot of computer software were thought of as ways in which human attitudes, human occupations could be emulated through a machine. And so that was also a very important thing for me in this process. So to say things as briefly as possible, these first 2 parts are using these 2 platforms. The first is a fake Instagram account that I made of this fake, hyper digital, hyper fake identity, and integrating Teona's poems into that shape, that mold. The second one uses Google Earth, and it's I thought of ways of using Google Earth and the functionalities of Google Earth to also imitate the experience of walking around and looking around, but also tailoring the movements that I made in the application to the poem itself. And for the final part, I intended something that was much more, let's say, overtly political. I wanted to use some images that became viralized during this period, various images, but then I realized that it didn't work out really well. There are some political things in the images and texts, but they're really subtle right now, and it was too much of a change, and I felt that it was not faithful to the text either. So what I did was I spent a little bit more time thinking about it, and I went back to some personal archives of mine, which I put in several places around the screen, but there's always a blank screen, which for me represents a blank memory, so a blind memory, a repressed memory, something that doesn't work, because I felt that memory was very important also during this period, and remembering things. And this is where I think personal digital archives were very important. I think everybody had these moments where they were going through old pictures or old videos of themselves, and that's what I wanted to do. But specifically what I want to highlight about this, and with this I'm going to finish about my contribution, was that these images are from 2017. A lot of these images are not shot by me, but they're shot by other people, and they feature me. There's also other people in these images. Most of them are shot during nighttime. And what I wanted to say, that 2017 for me at a personal level was a very, very hard year for me. But you cannot see that in these images. These images, I'm very happy, very normal, everything that's happening around. There's people, there's walking, there's interaction with the outside. I mean, these images are very tricky in that sense, because when I think back of that time, I think usually about pretty bad things. But in these images, you cannot see that. So I was also interested in using that. And the final thing is that we decided not to use a human voice for our video poem, because we wanted to be sort of faithful to this whole very digital, very post-human, let's say, approach to these themes. And the final part actually has a robotic voice that Teona used in a short film that she made for the European film festival in Romania. So for me, she calls it that it's an alien that was seeing things through her perspective. And for me, it was sort of like letting the alien also possess me and possess my memories. And let's see what this alien selects from that horrible year of my life as a memory instead of me. So yeah.
Adam, how do you see?
Yeah, in less than a minute, I'll try to be very, very short.
Actually, yeah, Zoom is cutting off, so we could actually have, because I still want to talk with you, Ada, and with Georgia. So we can actually end this here with everybody, and after that have just talk with you, Ada, and Georgia, and talk a bit more about your concepts and your vision. Thank you very much, Petra, Teona, Flavia, for being here, especially everybody has other things to do, and it's difficult for so many people to come together and talk about things online. So thank you for being here and for participating. And we're going to end this, and then we're going to talk with Ada and Georgia, okay? I hope this is a good version for everybody and for Zoom too.
Thank you to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. It was very nice.
Bye.
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 We're back with Ada Galeș and Georgia Pandrea. I find that we also talked in this brief pause after our recording before. We also talked exactly about this challenge also that we have with working with each other, each one in our lives, in our little caves, that we're working through technology, and technology can be faulty, can let us down. So it's that much more interesting how we can have this solidarity and what we talked about before, and this interaction in this problematic time, that we can overcome this kind of a hurdle together. So also starting from here, Adam, your project, as far as we talked, your project is about this kind of isolation, this kind of the way that we feel right now, kind of closed in a certain kind of situation. And your project is about a very important and a very topic that I don't think that is talked about enough in our culture and in our society, and it's about domestic abuse. Can you tell us a bit about your concept and how you envision also this interaction between text and video? Because also you told me very interesting things about how you are going to do also the video side of it.
Yeah, I'll start with my experience in coronavirus pandemic. For me, it was a very good time. So I felt great in isolation, and I felt rejuvenated, and I felt back in my body, and but I always have in mind, so this quote, it's like a paradigm that I'm carrying on with me, that you cannot attain happiness until so you're happy and you're pleased, and then you have to take care of what's in society and around you. So I cannot be in my best self and my best way if society around me crumbles. And in Romania, domestic cases violence have doubled. The telephone given to police have doubled, but that is only to police, because the victims in Romania, because the law is made like this, they don't call police, because the men get back to the women, and it's brutal and it's even worse. So they're afraid, they're ashamed. We have this culture in which it's normal, it's her fault if she gets raped. it's her fault if she doesn't obey, it's her fault, so we're in the countryside, and it's pretty harsh. And I am very close, also working as a counselor, but I have friends that are therapists, so not counselors, that are therapists that are trained to work in these situations. And I've heard some cases that have, I don't know, trembled me. It's very difficult, and some very deep situations, and a lot of violence in pandemic has arisen because people were scared, and that was what was happening with that fury. And okay, so that's why I'm interested in it. And as a woman, I think I will not talk about my experience with domestic violence, but I want to put this out there because I had experience with domestic violence, and I'm a privileged woman. I'm a privileged woman because I had support, and because I could go to therapy, and I could understand also my fault in this, and in the faulty and the toxic relationship. But it's not the case. Women are being murdered. In Turkey, more and more women in the coronavirus pandemic were murdered than the year before. So it's happening all over the world. So we're talking about very difficult cases. And I chose, the video is about me being filmed underwater. So my voice will be heard over the video footage, and me being filmed underwater meant that I could not escape, and I could suffocate, and I could I wanted to share a feeling and a metaphor on what the women are facing, being alone and suffocated in this.
Yeah, I found that when you told me about your concept, I found it very interesting. Exactly this idea of being filmed underwater, and that's claustrophobia that you have there. That's okay. You need air. You need to get to air somehow, and I think that somehow that represents very nicely or very accurately the way some people feel in these times. Like they need to grasp air, but they can't because they're under. Yeah. They're in an enclosed environment. So I can't wait to see.
And also, it's a very interesting parallel, because I'm writing as we speak. I'm in drafts, and the parallel I made with underwater is that when you are a therapist and you're working in crisis moment, you're trying to calm the victim, and you say and you help her breathe.
Yeah.
So that was my antinomic input on the video footage and on the text, which is saying and trying to calm you to breathe.
Okay, I can't wait to see the video. I mean, we can't wait to publish it. Georgia, let's round this discussion up with your vision upon how music can contribute to all these themes. I mean, in the end, you are the glue of this project, in the sense that everybody comes with their own kind of experience, their own kind of critique of society, their own kind of artistry. But what keeps the project together, beside the social engagement, is also your music. And I'm very interested in to know from you how you perceive your music and how it can communicate these very separate artists and feelings and visions of society.
Yeah. Well, in the first place, I tried to enhance the clips with both careful sound and texture selections, and also the musical composition itself. My goal wasn't to take over the video or the poem, but more like to help them, to glue them together, as you said, and to create like a homogeneous, cohesive structure that hopefully will deliver the message to our audience as clearly as possible. That's why I'll try to empathize as much as possible with the other artists. I'm seeing a music full of tension, full of emotion, vulnerable, alienation, fear, but hopefully there will be like small islands of I don't know, of hope, of solution, because yeah, this project definitely, I don't know how many answers it can give us, but certainly it raises a lot of problems. uh, so yeah, definitely I'm gonna try to go with the flow of the clips, and yeah, try to emphasize what they're trying to transmit. Yeah, I'm very excited to start working. Has some previous experience regarding working with poetry, but I think this is definitely something else. I mean, its impact is much more profound, and yeah, I'm ready to start yeah, writing on it.
And I'm also interested in the way that you, I mean, I think as a music producer, you live kind of in your own isolation, especially as a electronic music producer, in the sense that, okay, you are with your laptop there alone, and you create those sounds, you create those, I mean, the live music is something else, obviously, that needs like cooperation and meeting and kind of a get together. But as an electronic music producer, how is it to actually deal with all these influences and all these inspirations that you get from these other artists? I'm actually really curious about how that is.
Well, firstly,
especially
as a
now.
musician, yeah, definitely. During this period, somebody mentioned it earlier. I can't remember who, but firstly, the music helps me as well. You know, like more of a self-therapy, because you get to put out all those inner states of, I don't know, fear, uncertainty. So that's one that's helping myself. But then if somebody else resonates with what I just did, yeah, that's my like accomplishment as an artist. I'm really excited to see the other artist input, because everybody has until this day their own life experience, and they filter in their own way what's happening in the society. So yeah, it's gonna be like a little window in their life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's more than a collaborative, more than artistic collaboration. It's something very personal for us all, especially from the point of view of the subject, like isolation, or I don't know, like husbands, like what Ada was mentioning earlier, like couple problems,
domestic violence, and
domestic violence.
I mean, I think it boils down to the core uncertainty of our society and where we are right now, because especially in these hard times, every problematic thing kind of becomes even more problematic. Like things like domestic violence that were already a big problem in our society, now they just get exaggerated and get even more problematic. So I think that is also why I hope that this project will shed light on certain problems and certain views that are very a big issue in our society, but at the same time coming from people like Ada and you and real people, real artists that communicate these very, let's say, general problems that we hear in, I don't know, we talk about them we hear about them on television or in whatever other mediums. But I think one of the core things of this project is that real people communicate real issues through art and through our cooperation as artists. I would like to thank you, Ada and Georgia, for talking with us. And at this point, to round everything up, we would like to also thank the Romanian Cultural Institute in Brussels that makes this whole thing possible. And we're looking forward to actually, after the discussion, showing you what we are going to create in the next 3 weeks. So thank you for listening, for those that are listening, and thank you. And
Thank you.
yeah, have a good day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.